Meta Perspective Podcast.
Hello and welcome to Meta Perspective Podcast. We're your hosts, Alex,
Evan,
and the girl. This is the show where we talk about deep and interesting topics and try to get to the heart of the idea through multiple perspectives.
But if you are joining us for the first time, please give the channel a follow and the video a like. We plan to do random giveaways and things like that in the future, so it doesn't hurt to stay active.
Speaking of staying active, don't forget to jump in that chat. We want to hear future topics, just any ideas you guys have, but most importantly, we want you in this conversation with us. Because Meta Perspective Podcast isn't meta
without your perspective. Yeah, seriously, guys, we got the chat up here, so if you are watching us live, we'll be able to respond to what you say. And, if you're watching this in post, leave a comment, let us know what you think, and we'll respond to that as well. Man, those dogs.
Yeah, you want to just go take care of that?
You need to shotgun some kibbles.
I did.
I know. You shotgun them again.
Yeah, I threw out the...
You're going to have to put her down, son.
Oh, well, that's not going to happen.
Well.
Not going to kill my dogs.
They stopped, so you guys know what happened. Anyway.
It's dark.
So, we
cutest
are
dogs ever.
continuing our
Cutest
spirituality.
dogs ever. No, this conversation is actually about the cutest dogs in the world, and we have pictures. Go to them. You're lucky she's upstairs. Otherwise, everybody would know. Everybody would know the cutest dogs in the world. That's a fact.
Well, they
want to be murdered. He wants them to murder them, and you'd know how big of a crime that was if
sometimes
the photos were able to come up on screen. You're lucky.
Well, they don't always bark, but tonight they were bad. Anyway,
bark.
Guys, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Very few meow.
We are we are continuing our series on spirituality. I think this is actually episode 6. We've had 2 guests so far. We've done other series this year. They're usually about 4 to 5 episodes. This one is going to continue on. We got a lot of good stuff. Lots of good conversations. A couple guests that want to join in. So, it won't be our last. We'll continue to talk about spirituality for the future.
It's also not our first.
It's not our first.
It's not our first.
But so tonight we are going to focus on the idea of the forces of good and evil. That was a weird sound.
Didn't sound good for my resale. It sounded like scratched hardwood floors.
Or jostling of a metal something.
Might have been jostling.
Anyway, guys, so yes, we've been talking about spirituality. We've had 2 guests on the last 2 weeks, so we've kind of molded our conversation around them, so it was more general. Tonight we're going to pick back up on the Evan and Alex part of the series, and we're going to talk about the forces of good and evil. So, it's pretty obvious, I think, to all of us what evil evil is. Those dogs. It's the thoughts in my head that are going on right now. What is going on up there? I can hear it in my headphones.
You want to put them in the bedroom and or closet? Probably bedroom.
Yeah. Okay. Picking it back up.
Very tenacious barks.
Sorry about that, guys. So the forces of good and evil. So I think that, at least in the West, we have a pretty solid foundation of evil. There's all of the obvious things like don't murder, don't steal, all the 10 Commandments type of thing. This is a pretty old concept in the Western world, or the monotheist-based societies, and also in the Eastern, not religions, but just countries, things like that. Like there are decent things that you don't do to people because they harm other people. To take it a spiritual step further, some of these things can be, evil and weigh on the person doing them. It's not just that you're murdering somebody, but you're murdering a part of yourself that was connected to a higher power. So, there are obvious implications both legally and morally and spiritually, and all these things are pretty easy to identify. So that's, we're going to touch on that tonight. But another not so what the fuck is going on?
I think the bed broke. It sounded like the bed broke in half. And then one of the walls fell. Did one of the walls fall? Okay. Sounded like one of the walls fell.
Mr. Gorbachev, bring that wall down.
Done deal. Consider it already down.
But, okay, so to pick up where I was going with this. So the idea of what it means to be good. Now, that is a little bit more subjective. Everybody kind of has a way that they live their life. Not doing bad doesn't necessarily make you good. And doing something that you consider to be good, by your own measure, might actually, not to say that it's bad.
Like giving the homeless guy who's like, please, I really need money. And you're like, well, he said he needs it for a place to stay. You give him the money and he buys drugs and overdoses. And it just happens to be that dealer at that time had something with a little more fentanyl. And it's like, because of that moment of you giving money, you killed somebody. But in your mind, or you helped them do it, but in your mind, it's you're doing a great thing. Not every decision you make has those effects either. Where you can have the, like you said, the butterfly effect from previous episodes, where I can do something that I think is good, but cause a lot more harm. The dude pass away, and then anybody who is close to him, they're in turmoil, and they can't believe he's gone, and they're falling apart, and it's reaching out to other people, other families, and somebody that dated this dude in high school just found out, and they're just struggling with it. It's just this explosion, this ripple effect from one good thing you thought you did.
Yeah, and I guess another thing that I'm trying to get at is kind of like, just to use kind of a modern example, it would be like, you have, there's a very, there's less Christianity and uniform religion in our society now in general. But you have a lot of people that, like, I'm thinking girls especially, they think that they're spiritual and they think that they're good people. And, their definition of good is not doing anything bad, but it's also like this vanity that, they need to get the lip injections and the cheek fillers and all this stuff. And it's like, they're doing that because they want to look good. And they don't see any downside to that, but it's like you're feeding into the kind of root and evil of beauty and sex and
there's
insecurity.
Something you need to morph into.
Right. So it's like those kind of things are a little bit more under the surface, where you might think you're a good person, but if you're just a spiritual person, if you don't have any spiritual guidance or any type of accountability, really, then you might do things that aren't bad. They're not evil things, but you're kind of doing them in an egotistical way. You think you're a good person, but you're actually falling into the trap of the temptation to do evil. And that's kind of setting the stage for the entire discussion tonight, is that, the forces of good and evil are not as black and white as we would assume them to be based on our laws and our foundations.
As much as we would want them to be.
Right. Like you think a good, you think of a good person is a philanthropist and, donates and spends time, volunteering his community, stuff like that. Like, yeah, that can be a good person, but it's a little bit further than that. It's not a material good necessarily. It's a character. It's a value system or virtue system, really, that kind of guides your life. And then a good person is going to be that good person, no matter if somebody's watching them, if they're, like a good person doesn't go volunteer so they look good to the hot girl that's, is part of this organization that they want to impress. It's like, that can be a goal, but that, like, understand going into that goal, that's why you're doing it. Like, you get something out of it, but it doesn't make you a good person. The lack of evil does not make somebody good. It's
like all the videos of people giving homeless money. It's like there's videos that are better than others. Where the guy walks up, it's like, I'm going to give you money. And they're like, what, this and that. And the person doing it has a weird reaction of like, oh, no, you're good. Just take it. And it's like, there's nothing behind it other than I'm giving you money. I need your reaction to the money.
Yeah.
But
this is what I'm buying.
But a true heart, even if it's on camera, a true heart is going to seek out somebody who really needs it. And they're going to have a moment with them. And and that way, when that person sees the money, they understand, like, there's this deeper connection of like, somehow you understand where I'm going through. Maybe you went through it. I don't know what it is, but you're giving me this money, and clearly it's because you see something in me. As opposed to just like, I'm giving you money. Oh, I didn't even know you're homeless. Tell me your story. It's like there's no heart. There's no anything. The one thing I want people to go through this episode with is think about how what you would do in any situation, how what you would do is going to affect others. You could give that person money and that might help them. Or you could give them that money and have a moment with them. And you might not even teach them anything, but they just have a moment with you and they realize everybody's struggling, but this person tried to help me. They had a moment with me. They took time with me to get to know me in this moment. They asked about my struggles. They asked my name. They got to know me. It's like, this money I want to spend on something to honor the person who gave attention to me.
Yeah.
Not give that same person money and give them no attention and just be like, here's money. It's like they may not even spend it on the same thing because there's no emotional impact associated with it. Sometimes that little extra bit you go to really show somebody you care, and that's why you're doing what you're doing. Sometimes that's what makes the difference on how they follow through with what you've done for them, whether it's advice, money, help, whatever it is. You could clean somebody's whole yard and they're like, it looks beautiful. And the next month you drive by the house and you're like, what happened? I was out here for 5 hours working for free for you and you just let it go like this? Well, yeah, you didn't teach me how to keep it up myself. You didn't motivate me to keep doing this. I was just kind of hoping you'd come back and do it again. Yeah. It's like you can do something good and have people expect more from you, or you can do something good and they take that, run, and start doing the same for others.
Right, and that's a pretty good point there, is the intention behind the action, because that will really define the outcome. I guess let me take a step back. Let me direct this a little bit. So I'm going to make a statement about just where we are in a modern society. This was kind of it was a Christian founded country, and all of our laws are kind of based around that, like we've been saying, and that goes back to England and Europe and all that. So this is all based on Western Judeo-Christian values and ideas. It's been around for a long time. Everybody understands that. And then I think, now in our modern society, as long as you don't commit evil, I think that there's a general sense that you're a good person. And, to kind of prime the discussion tonight, in my opinion, most people are, you could work karma into this even. It's a Eastern idea, but most people are karmatically neutral, meaning that they don't want to commit evil. They will, do good things when it's mutually beneficial or when it helps them out, or, it's like if it helps a friend out, it helps you out.
Situationally good.
Right, situationally good. But I think in a grander sense, with all the stimulation and with everything that's going on in life, and, you have to decide how to use your time, because you could enjoy your time watching movies or playing video games or something like that, or you could, spend a little extra effort and, go do something good for somebody. But it's like, what's the return on that? And everybody kind of weighs this in the sense of, oh, well, I'd rather just be watching TV or something because I enjoy that. I get something out of it. It's like, it's neutral. It's not doing evil.
To lead into what you're about to say.
Yeah.
Deep down, we all wish there was somebody there to just get us out of something. But when we see
like
somebody going through something,
you
and you're like, I could get them out, a lot of times the first thought is, but what can I get out of this? If I can get them out of this, it's almost like a debt. If I can get you out of this, what do I get? And then make sure this can happen up front.
Yeah.
It's almost worse than just helping them with the means of them being indebted to you. It's almost worse than being like, all right, I mean, I can do this, but like, can I get access to this? It's like, oh, before you even help me, you want to make sure that there's a stipulation to you helping me.
Yeah.
At least if I was indebted to you, I'd find out later. You
Yeah.
know, not in the moment of my turmoil.
I mean,
my rescuing prince wants 5%.
Yeah. Like I'm guilty of this shit too, man. Like I have a truck, so I'm careful with that information. But like I've got a friend Brian Johnson, you probably know. He's moved around like a couple times, and he's asked me for help, and I've helped him out. And I've asked him for help, and he helps me out. So like, if he calls me one day and says I'm moving, yeah, I owe him. So, we've built that mutual understanding that we're going to help each other out. But if somebody called me and, if there's no indication that I would get paid for something, or at least money for gas, or they could help me out in the future, then I'm less likely to do it. I mean, I'm guilty of that too. So, I mean, I think everybody is kind of locked into this. It's a concrete jungle.
It's hard to be 100% unwaveringly giving.
Right.
It's like we've all seen Yes Man, and it's like, I don't want to be that.
Right, exactly.
There's definitely a level. Obviously, the perfect way to build yourself would be to just be giving. When you see somebody who's like, I need help, you just help them. Not because they really need help, but just because you want to show even little things, I can be there.
Yeah. Well, I think...
But in these times, it's also hard because when you're there for somebody, there's a part of your head that says, I don't want to be there for this person because I know them too well. They'll expect it, and they're going to take advantage of it. It's the same idea as like, I don't know this homeless guy, but chances are if he's sitting here asking for money, he's just wanting to get lit and not trying to get off his feet. Yeah. So it's like, I can help my friend, but are they just going to call me even more often to keep helping, to take advantage of me? Because that's part of being a good person is you're a good person to those in need. But if I'm a good person, I don't let people use me either. So there's a fine line that is cut out. The same as like, the homeless guy. There's tests where you can be like, hey, oh my God, I have nothing on me. Do you have like $1 quarters? I just need to make a phone call. I left my phone in the car. It's locked in the car. These are rich people problems. I have a vehicle and a phone and it's all locked in there.
Yeah.
If that guy helps me, now I can help him because I see where his heart's at. But if he has money, he's like, sorry, I need the money for food. It's like, okay, that tells me it's not really for food. It tells me that, I mean, it's just kind of a obvious, like, if you're not giving, why should I be giving? And it's the
Right.
same to those friends. If you do something for him and you help him move and you're like, hey, could you help me with this? And he says, no, you don't just keep helping. I mean, you do in a way,
Yeah.
but it's a fine line.
Well,
you know?
it comes down to motivation, I think, because those people that are helping, I think that they're getting something out of that socially, or, building a foundation of respect, or in the future, some, you kind of owe me kind of thing. Like, it really just depends. And I guess I say all this to kind of build up the idea that I think that the majority of society and in general, our culture has come to the end point where we are basically all neutral. We're basically all like output neutral, where we here. I'm gonna build. I think I know you. I think you know where I'm going, but let me just take us here. And
I'm gonna recorrect a little bit of what I said in the last thing.
Well, I just
go ahead.
I wasn't challenging.
It's going to go right with it.
Yeah, because
I don't know if it's before or after. So, go ahead.
so everybody has kind of been lulled into the sense of neutrality, where we only do something good if it's mutually beneficial, or if there's some type of social or monetary some kind of benefit, and the whole idea of a Christian religion or a monotheist religion or a God-based religion is to, at its core, it's the idea of sacrifice. Either sacrificing your time to help, to your money to charity, to your effort or your ear to listen to somebody in need. It's these kind of self-sacrifices that are not based on some type of return or mutual benefit or anything like that kind of really drives the spiritual growth of these religions. So, I guess to close it off, because society has become this spiritually, morally neutral thing, and as long as we don't do evil, we're considered good.
Spiritualists.
So
redefine spiritual into we're not spiritual, but we say we are. So
yeah, exactly. so
I'm giving. I just don't give.
This is
when
setting.
It's needed.
This is setting the stage now for the evil forces to take advantage of neutral people, because when you are just neutral, when you're not guided in a way that is going to motivate you to have self-sacrifice for others, you're only doing things that are good based on your mutual benefit. Now you're basically neutral or susceptible to evil influence, convincing you that what you're doing is neutral while you might be doing something evil and taking advantage of another person. And that comes into things like sales, scams, like huge markups on stuff that, people hassle people on the street. It comes into the homeless man that kind of gives you this spiel about all this stuff, and it's like he's trying to guilt you into giving him money. But
if a person's weak,
he's not harming you, but he is taking advantage of your neutrality, and you're susceptible to that, so you will give over the money.
A person weak or evil will try to take your money. I mean, that's what it comes down to. If you're weak, you're not trying to make your own money. If you're evil, typically, money's what you have the control over. It's not to say that a good person can't have money, but a good person isn't motivated by money, which means you could call yourself a good person and be like, I'm a good person, but I'm going to be a billionaire. Okay, well, I'm telling you, you're going to have to make sacrifices on that good character in order to be able to get to where you want to go within the time frame you want to get there. There's only one way to make that much money in that short of time. And the only other way is to just be a perfect person and change the world and have something that just alters everything. Here's a car. It's only $5,000. You charge it once and it lasts 10 years. Okay. Like that. I don't see that though. More realistically, if you're like, I want to be a millionaire, you're going to hurt people to get there. And I wanted to say, going off what your whole thing, I think a lot of the good moral compass, especially of America, has been redefined. And most people look at being a good person as like, well, I'm not outwardly doing bad things. So like,
right.
I'm good.
Yeah.
But the reality is who you are and how you view things affects people. You
might be neutral, but you're not motivating anyone else to do any better.
And
it's kind of right. Like that's kind of what you're getting at, is that neutrality does not mean good. You're not giving more than you're taking away at that point.
Exactly. At that point, it's like I'm helping you, but you're also helping me. So like, I don't want to do this, but I don't want to do my own thing either. But if I do this for you, it's just as hard. You'll do my thing, but I also, instead of just doing my thing, now I also get the added benefit of I'm a good person here to help.
Right.
So, and I could do my thing or I could do your thing, but I'm not going to do both.
Right.
But if I do your thing and you do my thing, we're even. But now I'm also a good person who's there when you need them. Even though I've used you to cash out on this already, you know that I'm somebody to count on. Whether in the future I can pay up on that or not, it's the illusion.
And
a lot of what people do is part of an illusion.
And that kind of comes down to tribe and the stuff we've talked about in previous episodes of this podcast, where it's like, human beings are designed to orient around each other socially. So like if a friend helps you, then you feel obligated to help them, and it's not a good or evil or neutral thing. It's a working together tribe thing. But when it's like a stranger, that's different.
But it's like you were saying, like the extension of that would be no limit. That would be a good person. A good person is you have a truck and he hits you up to help him move. And you need help and he helps you. Then he hits you up and needs you to pick up this big thing because he has nobody else, but he wants it for his house. It'll help him turn his house more into a home. And he has kids now, and it's like, this is in his head. He's like, this will make my house feel more like a home, and my kids will have, it'll be that much earlier in their stage of development where they're like, this place feels nice. Like, my parents are somebody to look up to. Look at what they have. But you don't want to do it. It's like, you helped me and then I helped you. Now you want me to help you again? And then again and again. If you help every one of those times, here's the beauty of it is that's why I wanted to correct the last thing I had said. Even if somebody is kind of using you, there's a limit to it.
Right.
Where it's like, hey, what you're doing is evil and conscious. That's the difference. The difference is this person will do it. I have no intention of doing anything for you, but I know you're a good person who can't say no, so I'm just going to use that.
Yeah.
It's rare, but it's out there. Depending on the type of friends you associate yourself with, there might be one in the group.
Yeah.
But more often than not, even a bad person, after using you a few times and seeing how much help you give, how you're not just there with the truck, but you carried most of the boxes. You came up with most of the ideas of how to get this done efficiently and fast. And you found a way to get stuff that I didn't know how to get out of the apartment. You figured out ways of getting it out. It's like, if that's somebody who never brought it in and they used people to get all their stuff in, and you're like, you've used me 5 times, but here I am for the 5th time helping you figuring out how to get the stuff out of here. That person at some point will stop and go, who am I? Because it's hard for me to believe there's a lot of people out there who truly in their heart believe they're bad people. I think the majority of people believe they're good, even though they do bad. And that's a part of it, is saying, you know what? I tell myself I'm a good person, but this person is the one helping me. And I'm close to them, and they're a friend of mine. And even though I keep using them, they're always there for me. And then that's when that exterior shell starts to fall, and it's like I looked at myself as strong and them as weak because I'm getting ahead using them. But the reality is, I'm just feeling worse about myself every time I have I have them do this, and every time I tell them no, I won't help them. Every time something comes up and I'm too busy, or I got this going on, I can't help, I'm sorry. It's like, but then when I call you, you're always here. It's like there is something to not want to be used, but there's also something to showing somebody that, like, I'll persevere. Not because you deserve it.
Right.
But because you need the help, and I can help you. Is this my time? Are you taking my time? Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm choosing to let you take my time so that I can be there for you in the example that shows I care enough to help you, even if you don't care enough about me. There's something about that hits you at some point and goes, maybe I've gotten so much help. That's kind of that. I believe there's always a scale.
Well,
it's like you can use me and use me and use me. But at some point, you're gonna look at your scale and be like, I can't ignore how much I know I owe this person, and I can't help, but I can't ignore the fact that I don't feel like I owe them anything. They've never made me feel like I owe them anything. They're such a good person. And that's where suddenly that balance comes in. It's like, am I?
Right.
And that's what helps clean people up, I believe, is you might not see what you're doing for somebody being a good person, but don't let that change your character, because at some point it's going to click for them, even if it's not the way you want. At some point they might be talking to somebody and that person tells them, oh, this person's been helping me, like, oh, I'm blessed that this person did this, and then it just clicks, like, am I blessed? What is blessed? What is blessed? And they start asking crucial questions. What is all of this? Why would somebody be helping me like this? Like,
yeah,
this dude's bragging about the help he got. I'm getting more help and doing nothing for it. Like, am I aware of what's really going on around me? I mean, it doesn't take much for it to click to somebody and be like, I should do more myself.
Well, exactly. I mean, that's kind of what we're that's what we're talking about with the idea of the forces of good and evil, because like we've kind of already established that most people have a neutral force or just in the middle somewhere.
And if I could say,
they don't have really
only time I'll interject in this, I promise.
Yep.
I'm crossing like a Boy Scout, not like to break the promise. I don't know if.
What is? Oh yeah.
I'm not breaking the promise. This isn't break. This isn't. Oh, this is also promise, right?
Do it. Yeah. Say it.
Something like that. But that. What I was saying earlier about, like, America, I believe, has been compromised on, because America was like a very Christian founded country, and its ideals, and it's in the Constitution. Like, everything kind of goes back to inalienable rights that are outside of us. What we believe every human should just have.
Given by God, yeah.
What every human believes we want for ourselves, that's outside of ourselves. So these are, given by God. These are inalienable rights. But over time, we've kind of watched, not so much the country, but like the media in the country, the entertainment in the country, everything else in the country has redefined good in my mind as like, hey, if you're just out there getting money and putting money out there, that's good. You're good. A philanthropist, that's good. That's kind of what I grew up with. But even as a kid, I was like, but where are the Martin Luther Kings? I have only seen like a handful of people who I would say are actually good people. Like, Bono, good job. Like, you do good stuff, I hear, but like, I've seen what Martin Luther King did. I heard his speech and it changed my heart. And what's the story of all of that? He changed people's hearts. Okay, I experienced what he did. So I don't know what Bono's actually doing. I mean, more and more, everybody who's like, we're fighting, child sex trafficking, more and more I'm thinking they're a part of it. I mean, that's really what it looks like. Almost everybody who screams we're against child trafficking, they all have weird ties to all this other stuff that seems to always be attached to these networks that have missing children all the time. Well, I'm just saying, it's like you can't tell me you do good. I want to see good. When I heard Martin Luther King's speeches, I was like, this is a good person. I can hear in his tone of voice and in his heart that what he's saying, he doesn't just believe. But this is stuff I don't hear. I don't hear people who are this good, really. And to me, that's part of the problem. Is in America, it's been redefined as like good is not like John F. Kennedy or Mother Teresa or Martin Luther King or Abraham Lincoln. In our country, good is like whatever you can do. And it's like, what happened to we're Americans and we can do more than what we can do?
Well, I mean,
It's such a low bar that has been set.
Yeah.
It's been redefined to if you're a good person, it's just somebody who isn't a bad person. And I disagree with that. The neutral has been defined as what's good.
Yeah, and that's kind of, that's what we've been talking about. And even somebody that does all that they can do when they can't do much, that's still, it's based on the intention. And just to respond to something that you had said and kind of lead into where I was going with this, we're talking about the forces of good and evil, the forces. So, a neutral person is more likely to fall to the susceptible to the forces of evil because, they don't have the spiritual compass
or understanding
aligning to where, it sounds mutually beneficial.
You've never been too good.
It's like now.
It's easy for us to get to bad
Right.
in us, but it's not a lot of us experience just the true raw good in us. Yeah. And for that reason, we don't understand that good part of us. So it's easy to say, well, this is me trying to be good, so this is the goodest I've ever been, so this is by definition good. Or, in the world, I see people just fighting for money and all this. Well, as long as I'm not fighting for money and I'm trying to help people a little bit, that's good. And it's like, it's the lowest bar you could possibly set.
Well, so to kind of go back to where I was going here, it's the force of good, which goes back to a thing that you were saying, a couple of minutes ago. It's, sacrificing yourself, going out into the world to help another person not at your expense, because, there is a spiritual benefit there, but it is, sacrificing time, money, effort. Basically you're sacrificing for somebody else. That force of good, that person helps you out. Like you were saying with the scale, it's like if somebody helps you out so much, that guilt starts to pile up. And it's not that you should do things based on the guilt that you feel, but the force of good creates that vacuum where if you do these things above and beyond the neutral, now you're actually influencing the world for good. So you're pushing that good bar a little bit higher, because where it's basically just neutral, maybe above. It's probably a little bit below neutral, probably towards the evil side. But a part of you
knows that I've helped him move twice, and he has denied me the last 2 times I needed help. But this 3rd time, I'm going to do it again.
Yeah.
That's that, like you said, that's those scales where that person stops and goes, like, how long can you call yourself a good person before you, in your head,
right? Like
maybe the 5th time I call for help, when you say no, you hang up and you stop and you think about how much help you've been getting. And even if it's a fear of, if I don't help them, maybe they won't help me. Well, now you have to really reconcile that. Do you not think I would help you if you really needed it? No, deep down I know that if I keep using you, you'll keep helping me.
Right.
And that's where you start to come to terms with those parts of you that go,
Yes. That's
am I a good person or am I not?
exactly. That's when the force of good actually does good and creates the momentum of good in the world. And I guess that to kind of sum up where we've been going with this whole thing so far, it's like if everybody's neutral, but no one's actually sacrificing to do good, then we stay neutral, and then we're susceptible to be brought down by the evil forces that are going to convince us that what we're doing is good, or at least neutral. And then we're going to start to look at things that are bad as neutral or good. It's like...
So get an entire country of people who helped build this country and then convince all of them not to go that extra mile. And then when things get hard, let's see how well they band together.
Right. I mean,
it's like, but for survival, it's like we need each other. We need to count on each other.
Right.
To sit there and say, well, I don't see a threat outside of us. I don't see everything getting bombed and me having to scavenge for food in my backyard or eat my neighbor's cat. I don't see that as a future. So for that reason, I don't see why I have to help you move. Like, it's those kind of things. It's like without the threat, it's almost as if people have given up that need to go that extra mile, because it's like, you need my help. Like, you could call somebody. There's contractors. There's this. There's YouTube videos. You can find help. You don't need me.
It becomes a distracted decision between your own goals and really going out of your way, which when there's so many options for other things for you to do, seems like a missed opportunity cost. It's like, oh, I could spend an afternoon and help this person, or I could spend that afternoon working on something in my house where it's going to benefit me, and hopefully they can find somebody else. So it becomes this weighing of options, and I'll give an example of how this has kind of taken root, and the idea that neutral things can lead to the evil side, and then evil can convince you that neutral things are good, and it kind of comes into the idea of this whole movement of transgenderism. And I respect people that out there that have real transgender dysphoria, and I'm not really saying anything against those people, but there is this idea that somebody who is conflicted in their own life can well, let me rephrase this. So I think that I'm being a good person by supporting my conflicted friend who is struggling with their identity and is considering taking mind and body altering hormones or doing some kind of surgery or something like that. Like, I think I'm being good by supporting them.
Not doing research on what it does or anything that. Supporting them in itself is the right thing to do for a friend. In the mind of most people.
Supporting them, maybe a friend, but like when you take the society-wide, if I'm just a neutral person that says, oh yeah, I support people getting, transgender hormone, supplements or children that are developing, I think that's a good thing. I'm a good person for that. But it only stops there. It's only a virtue signaling ego boost that makes you think that you're being good. Like, you think you're being good, but you're not sacrificing yourself. You're not doing anything to help this person. You're just kind of giving this neutral, detached support and feeling good about it because of other people's praise. So it's like, what a lot of people think, oh, I'm a good person. I support this, I support that. Like, I do this, I do that. But they don't do it. They don't provide anything for anyone else. They don't sacrifice themselves for anyone else. They do for their friends, but it's mutually beneficial. That's tribe. That's not the same thing. So they can they live their whole life, and all along, there will be times when the evil of this world, of this universe, of reality will drag you below the neutral. And then you'll get dragged more, and you'll get dragged more. And now you're doing something that,
It's compromise.
if you look back and, yeah, I'm compromised. I did something that was actually bad, and I feel bad about it, but like my worldview, I have no ability to reconcile that because I don't understand what it means to sacrifice and do good and be a good force in this world, because I've lost sight of that.
And that's why I really want to emphasize, like, when it comes to, like, for example, transgenderism with like a friend, I think that's one of the biggest issues is when it is, there's nothing wrong if a friend says, I understand who and what I am, but I feel like this. It's okay to support them, but if you really care about them at all as a person, talk to them about their experience, what they're going through. Try to understand it. If you understand it, if they explain it to you and you're like, I understand it well enough to know that, like, you just need my support, then okay. But if you understand it to a point where it's like, I think this might stem from something else. I don't want to, and that's that area where it's like,
Right.
most people, I think, are just brainwashed into thinking being a good friend is just supporting your friend. But like, there's been plenty of times I've called you out for shit, and it's like, that's not a good idea. And it's not because I don't like you. It's because I love you, and I don't want to see you go into this because I want you to see what I see with what you're saying.
Yeah.
I see this outcome. You only see this outcome, but I'm seeing this one. Maybe you need to hear the other outcome to whether you want to hear it or not. Maybe you need that redirection of like, hey, even if you are going to do this, you need to see compromise. You need to see alternative views or outcomes or something. You need to, I feel like you're seeing it like this, and I feel like you need to see it a little more like this. Let me add something to it. That's a good friend. For me to sit there and say, I don't understand what you're saying, and I cannot picture a future where you accomplish those goals, for me to just let that go and encourage you is wrong. And when it comes to transgenderism, that's one of the tough things is you'll sit there and be like, well, I don't know what their future would be. Well, you have an idea though. You know, it would be a future probably of, more than likely, it wouldn't be children. More than likely. There's circumstances. There's plenty of people who adopt.
Right.
But there's so many factors that it's like, let's boil it down and figure out why you don't feel comfortable.
Well,
and as you,
not
you
to
know,
get too much into.
yeah, that's a whole separate thing.
But the idea is that it's a seemingly.
Yeah, look at us jumping over each other because we're afraid to get banned on YouTube. No, well, the main point of it though is that if you really care about that person, whether you support them or not, understand what they're going through. Don't just sit there and be like, "Oh, you said you feel this way. I support you." Why? You're a man with a thing, and you know how it works. And for you, your reality is, this is made for one thing, and I'm made to be one thing. How can you support that person? Honestly, don't just sit there and tell that person, I support you. You're not somebody who even understands them, so you can't support them. So either you try to understand them so that you know what you're supporting with them, or just be fake as hell and just be like, nothing you're saying makes sense. I don't know if this is good or bad for you. I don't know. I don't know if this could be a good decision, could be a bad decision.
I guess
but I'm going to push you into it. As a real friend, I don't care how excited you are about an idea. If it's a bad idea, I'm going to tell you. If it's a good idea, I'm going to tell you because you're a friend.
Well, I guess I'm trying to separate the idea of
But
providing
that's,
this
but that's
for
what
a
I'm saying.
friend
That's that gray area.
for,
Is you feel like
society.
A good person when you're like, oh, I'm supporting my friend without trying to understand what they're going through or understand where they're at. I'm supporting them, so I'm a good person. And for society, blanket statement the same. even more forgiveness for them because
Right.
I don't know them, so just do what you want.
Exactly. And that's
it's
kind of what I'm saying. Oh, I'm a good person because I support this.
it's
know,
a
it's like,
complex issue that you
you're-
cannot
you're
blanket state.
that is, one could argue that the evil sides of manipulation and body dysmorphia and all these things that cause insecurity in people have weighed on a lot of people in our society, accelerated by all these beauty standards and all these material things and everything that goes into our society or modern society now. All of that evil influence, that's not inherently based on any one person. That is an evil force, and that's what we're talking about. So like that evil force could take hold of somebody, and I'm not talking about it's one thing to support a friend. I do think that's something you should do no matter what. But a neutral person in society is going to say, "Oh yeah, I support transgenderism, so I'm a good person." But that is, you don't know what you're supporting, and you don't understand. It's not your friend that's trying to transition.
But that's why it starts with your friends.
You're convincing yourself that you are moral or you have character because of this socially based thing. And sorry not to cut you off, but I want to take it a step further. And
No, I cut you off.
Even the friend that's the friend that would support their friend becoming transgender, would they support another friend that wants to have a child? It's like, are you supporting your friend, solely based on, what your friend wants, or is there some type of influence on your worldview that
physiology
that chooses, like if you're in an atheist friend group, and everybody's kind of like secular, atheists or everything, doesn't matter. We live by our own will, and your friend's like, oh, I want to go to church. I want to have a child. But then your other friend's like, I want to have a sex change and become a different gender. Are you gonna support them all equally? Where does that come from? And I'm not trying to make any type of definitive statements on any of these politically, socially charged issues, but it's about consistency and it's about the intention, and that's kind of what I'm trying to paint the picture of. Is it's not oh, I support transgenderism. I'm a good person.
It's why.
It's like, to be a good person, it doesn't mean you have to make a blank statement on this issue, and every single case is 100% justified and you're a good person for furthering that cause. It's like, oh, I'm a good person. I think some people actually, are struggling in life and could benefit from this. I think some other people, may be falling under the influence of evil forces that want to take advantage of them, either monetarily or, through, influence or some type of something outside of themselves that's a motive that doesn't have anything to do with the person that's being influenced. So, these kind of things weigh on a neutral person, and you tend to be drawn down to evil, because with the absence of force of good, a neutral person is going to fall into the temptations of the world. So
that's why you have to challenge yourself. And if you have a friend who is making a radical life choice, even if it's like I'm going off grid, I'm going to go live in the woods by myself, alone. Nobody, no resources, you'll never hear from me again. It's like, well, I love you. I'm not going to just push you into that. It's like, as somebody who loves you, it's like, let me remind you of what you can do here, not just still in my life, but for other people, because of what I see in you.
Yeah.
And that you just leaving isn't something that I can just support you with and be okay with, because there's another part of me I have to acknowledge, which is I love you and I don't want to just see you disappear forever.
Right. That's another good example that has this very neutral social example. I mean, that's perfect because,
you want to support that person, their new life changes and wanting to start over and do new things. But at the same time, it's like, I want to help keep you grounded. Like, I love you, and clearly you're ready to just leave me, your family, and everybody else. But as your friend, like, I need to reground you and remind you there's more to all of this than just getting up and leaving. Like,
Yeah.
there's something to these people here caring about you and, like, focusing on you, that they're focusing on you for a reason. And
Yeah.
you don't want to lose it. But it's the same idea as, like, if a friend goes through something like transgenderism, it's not about just saying, like, yeah, however you feel, that's fine. Understand why they feel like that. Are you really their friend? Do you really care about them? It always drives me crazy when people are like, I just blindly supported them. It's like, why? This is your friend. If you really cared about them, if your friend Josh suddenly was like, I'm going to be Jill, it is weird as hell to me for you to just be like, that's fine. Like, you don't care about getting to know the new version of your friend? Well, it's the same person. Well, they may have always felt a certain way, but, like, at the same time, coming out is kind of an acknowledgement to, I'm going to be my real self. So if somebody's coming out to you, whether it's gay or transgender, you have to get to know that new person as they actually are. You have to be ready to understand that that person is going to kind of be a different person and not playing to the certain roles they've been playing. So no matter what, that person is changing, or at least opening up more. And whatever they're doing, it's not, hey, I'm Brad, today I'm Bridget, and everything about our friendship, nothing changes. Well, something did change. Your entire sex and what our goal is for going out to the bars on Saturday.
Right.
But it's like, it just drives me crazy when I see people going through major life changes, and this isn't just friends. This is what I think affects that big group of how people look at the majority. Is they go, I would just blindly support my friend. It's like,
right, exactly.
But that's not a friend.
It doesn't scale.
A friend doesn't do that. A friend doesn't say, oh, I'm going to put all of my money into, this, literally all of my life savings, 50 grand. I'm putting this really good, it's the first time this NFT has gone back up on sale. I'm going to stop and be like, don't do that. I want to support you, but I don't think putting your life savings into an old NFT that opened back up, I get you could make money back. But, like, it's your, like, I would say don't do it. But if you really want to, and you try to explain to me why you think it's a really good idea, I want to understand this as well as you do, because I'm not going to tell you from my perspective you shouldn't. Okay, I'm going to hear you out. And maybe at the end of hearing you out, it's like, okay, I see what you're saying. You're saying it's such a big thing that if you buy it and put it back on the market 6 months from now, there's a chance it should spike to 70. You'll make 20 grand in 6 months. With everything you've given me, maybe I could see that, but I'm still going to argue that this is a gamble, this is a risk. But if you do it, I support you because I see the direction you're going. I'm not going to sit there and just be like, you're stupid. Why are you doing this? I can't believe you did this even after I told you how bad of an idea it is. Just so that when it fails, I can sit there and be like, I was the one who told you not to. A good friend sits there and says, I'm going to tell you not to, but I'll listen to your reason why you should. Okay, I'm not going to give you an I told you so, because we both know I see your side, you see my side. So if it happens the other way, I'm not going to I told you so. I'm going to feel bad. And that's how it should be. You shouldn't sit there and be like, I told you so, or just blindly push in. Because then if something goes wrong, you're part of the problem of pushing that person to do something that they weren't sure in. Well, I just want to support them because I didn't understand it. Well, then maybe you should have talked to them to understand it. A good person listens. A good person cares about the other person. I mean, it's that simple.
Well, that is a form of sacrifice, and I think that's what I'm getting at. Let's get away from the individual and the friends.
He brought up the trans stuff.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. It's a different thing to support a friend that's going through that process. That is a good thing. But if you're not, it's a jump to say that. My whole
thing though is if you're not really supporting that person, if you're not trying to understand, if you're not doing that stuff and you blindly follow, you will blindly follow as a blanket statement for anybody else in that category, and not care what they're going through, why they're going through it. You're going to sit there and lump everybody into one category and say, you're all going through the same thing my friend is.
Right. Well,
But it's never is.
yes,
it's
but
always different.
And that's kind of another way of saying what I'm trying to get at is that, it's one thing to, go out of your way, sacrifice your time, effort, your ear, everything for a friend, for somebody who is, part of your tribe. That is a good thing. But to take that individual scale and scale that up society wide and say that, oh, I support everybody that's doing that. It's like, well, is that really a good thing for the people involved? Because the data kind of shows that it might not be. There might be outside influences to that. But people will say, oh, I'm a good person. I support this. I support that. I do a lot of other bad shit, and I don't really do anything good, but I support all this stuff. It's like, so you're substituting the idea of the force for good, which is sacrificing yourself, giving yourself to others and to, the idea of a creator in spirit, and you're taking that idea and substituting with all of these social things, these social things that we have deemed to be virtuous, and that is, that's enough to convince a, secular neutral person that they are good. At the same time as they're being influenced and drugged down by all of this evil in the world, and they're blind to it. And I guess, what I want to get at is that, without a spiritual guidance or some type of religious or theological purpose, most people at best will become neutral, but they're never going to provide. They're never going to add anything to the world. They're basically going to go through a series of mutually beneficial exchanges with people in their immediate tribe and project this, virtuous situation, but not actually act on it. And if everybody just projects it and no one actually acts on it, then it allows evil to frame something neutral as good, or frame something evil as neutral. And then all of these projecting entities that don't have a moral or spiritual foundational compass, now they will be susceptible to the group think of, oh yeah, that thing that we've always kind of thought was probably less than neutral, a little bit evil, that's good now because everyone else thinks it, and I don't really need to concern myself with the morality of that. I'm going to support it, and I'm going to convince myself I'm a good person. But what you are is a wholesomely neutral person that has no moral foundation or virtuous guidance. So evil is convincing you otherwise and dragging you down. And if that happens across the whole society, that's how you get the idea of God removed from our Western foundation. Because it doesn't happen any other way. It's not saying that God is evil, but if you get enough neutrality in there where they kind of question what's good, and, the evil things make us feel good, so that can't be, you can't stop doing that. Then you have a society that basically erases the memory of being a force for good. Yeah, and then no one is a force for good, and people that are a force for good get taken advantage of.
Growing up as a child, we all understood being gluttonous was bad, and overeating, just eating and eating. Even as a kid, it's like it was kind of like, okay, don't be gluttonous,
Yeah.
But
because you don't want to get fat. Because if you're fat, then you don't have social value.
Well, in America, You know, growing up, it was big. Like, America's the most obese place. We have the fattest people. It's a problem because we have some of the most unhealthy people, and like everything's just too abundant. We need to learn moderation. And then you fast forward to 10 years, and it's like, don't make fun of anybody how they look. Don't even acknowledge it. Let them live their truth in the way they are. If they're big,
Right. That's another great example.
and it just turned into this thing where it's like it went from, you know, we were gluttonous, and that's what was sold to us is we've become just a gluttonous country, which is a sin. That was how it started. How it ended was you support these people for being gluttonous, and it's a weird switch where and you could say that's crazy, but I mean that's where we've gotten.
It hurts the individual and it hurts their family member. It hurts the external.
But it started with, hey, everybody, being gluttonous is not good, and America is becoming the most gluttonous. We need to be aware of this. That's how it started. It wasn't calling people fat. It was just saying we have some of the biggest people. And then it turned into, don't shame anybody for their weight or anything. Let them just be the way they are. We don't even need studies saying that we're the most gluttonous country. That's shameful. Instead, just let people live and die as fast as they want. And it's like, that's a crazy switch. I agree with free will and people should be able to do what they want. But it's like, if a country is using advertisements and all this stuff to push this stuff in ways that make that literally targets you, and now we're at actual targeted advertising where like you could bring up a snack idea and now you're getting ads about it in this savory video, and now you buy it only because of that. And it's like now we're kind of pushing this stuff onto people in a way we've never pushed before. Well, we were the most gluttonous country without this intense form of advertisement. So it went from like, hey guys, we need to slow down to let's push it harder. And instead, we're going to start doing PSAs on anybody talking about the fact that it's being pushed harder, and the numbers have doubled.
Let me just add to that, and you can keep going after this, but it's the idea that if you convince people, like, because shaming someone for being fat, that can be evil. If you're making fun of them, if you're trying to break them down, and it's affecting their, that's your goal, is to make fun of them, that is an evil act. And we've convinced.
But I would also say it's a natural act.
Well, let me finish my thought. So if you're doing that, that could be considered evil. That could be an evil intention. But we've convinced everyone that to prevent evil intentions, we have to accept them as good. So that's where evil works into the neutral. Because not everybody's saying, oh, you fat fuck. But some people are thinking like, oh, well, that's not healthy. That's not a good way to live your life, But I still support them.
But the reality is, though...
So now you're substituting what's evil for what's neutral.
But there's also... I think there's good, neutral, and evil. And I don't think it's good to attack somebody for being obese. But I do think that would be natural. It would be neutral. Because it's not good. I don't see it as good or bad.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying making fun of somebody.
I see what you're saying, but making fun of somebody, I don't even see as evil. I don't think it's evil. I think we've been programmed to think it's evil. No, making fun of somebody for being fat is neutral. It's not good or bad. Why? Because some of the most influential people you've ever seen, some of the healthiest, most fit people you've ever seen, will tell you it started from bullying, from them doing whatever they wanted, and society laughing and going, look at you doing whatever you want. And then you go, well, I feel shame. So instead, I'll have control. And then everybody was like, wow, look you're an inspiration. Why does that exist?
The shame part is the key there.
But the only reason that motivation exists is because that person that big would not have gotten that thin and that fit that fast had they not felt the shame and wanted to repel from it. You can feel it on your own and go, I need to lose weight. And it'll be 6 months before you actually start even thinking about maybe a reality of doing it.
What I'm saying is fat pride.
But it's like the bullying is not good or evil. The bullying is a neutral acknowledgement of where you're at. If I'm walking
response.
If I'm walking around with peacock feathers coming out of my hat that are just full peacock feathers, not the little short, not looking good, just like zoop, like 3 feet out in the air, just big old feathers. I think it would be weird if I put that on and went out in public and didn't expect people to be staring at all. From a base thing. If I go out and if people see me and I'm like, why do people keep looking at me? This is just how I am. Can't they just accept that I have big peacock feathers? Why do they have to look as if this is something they haven't seen before? It's like, well, when you're 750 pounds, it's not about shame. It's that there is something internal that says, oh no, whoa, that's different. How?
Well,
there's a natural,
let me rehash
neutral response that humans have to what is not good or bad, just overeating a bunch. Like,
right. So
you don't need to.
Let me clarify. So yeah, the person who is overweight should, the motivation there is the shame. They should feel the shame by looking in the mirror. They should feel the shame by going to the doctor,
but that
getting
shame
their blood work done.
That doesn't do anything.
And realizing that they're going to die.
Society not accepting that makes the difference.
Let me finish the idea. They should feel the shame by the health ramifications of their actions, and from individuals in their life should be giving them good advice. They should feel shame on some level. And what I was saying by that was that this whole idea of the fat pride movement is not motivated by it's not pioneered by this idea of acceptance. It's actually a response to people shaming. It's making fun of fat people that caused the greater of society to say that being fat's okay.
It's killing the motivation.
The
motivation to get you to lose weight is society. Let's kill that motivation by not letting society motivate you.
This is genetic, so it's an excuse. Like, you can't make fun of this person because it's not their fault. And that is the evil working into the neutral and bringing something that is neutral into evil. It's that, okay, so, for whatever reason, I'm susceptible to this, genetics or whatever. People told me this, but at the same time, it's like, it's the responses of people making fun of fat people that caused fat people to feel the shame, and then the evil said, no, it's okay. You're not fat. It's your genetics. Everyone else is just being mean. They're being evil. You're just a neutral person, and you're actually a good person.
It's their issues.
So they're attacking you. Those evil people are attacking you.
They're insecure.
Because you're just living your life based on what you want to do.
Bigots.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And, you can see how the shift between good, evil, neutral, it keeps being blurred on the individual level, at the small group level, at the society level. These things are all playing in dynamics where, Yeah,
if anybody knew anything about biology, and it's like, hey, your daughter just turned 18, how would you feel if instead of, 95 pounds, how would you feel if she was, 280? What would you prefer? You get to pick. You do not move past this point until you click on.
Yeah, you boil
190
it down to the fundamentals.
Until you click on the 90 or the 180. You don't move on until you click this. I don't think many people are going to be like, I choose for my child to go down this path. And that's what it really comes down to, is deep down, we do have something in us that says what is right or wrong. Well, overeating to the point where you're unhealthy tells me that there's something wrong with you. Like, I'm not saying you're fucked up, but it's like you're not happy. There's something wrong with you that makes you only get like gratification and solitude from eating.
Yeah.
Like, if you care about somebody, talk about it.
Yeah,
Again,
it's not
you don't
helping
sit
them.
there and say, you look good in that bathing suit. Don't lie. You like, it drives me crazy when people online are like, oh, I posted a picture of myself in this bathing suit and everybody said mean things. It's like, you're 350 pounds. And you're 4'5".
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Lie to the
Like-
person who's working out and doing something about it.
It's like me with
Don't
peacock
lie to the person
feathers.
that's embracing it.
It's like me with the peacock feathers. Why do you guys think it's weird that I'm almost 400 pounds at 4'5" and I'm wearing a bikini? Because nobody I know has ever seen this photo
Right,
of
like-
somebody that big, that small. It
You
blows the mind. It's almost like you're so selfish and gluttonous that you have found a way to maximize yourself ahead of what's even possible.
Like,
it's like
you
seeing
don't-
The Rock on steroids. You just assume he already is.
Yeah.
But if you saw a bigger version, you'd be like, I don't understand.
Right.
There's something wrong with working that hard for your physical. There's like, you got 300. You got the big guys. They were realistically strong, realistically muscular. Then you go beyond that to even bigger, more ridiculous. It gets to a point where it's like, what is you only working out and what is you actually learning how to use your strength? It's like you're getting bigger and bigger and bigger, but you're at a point now where you can't lay on your side to go to sleep because your lats are too big.
Right,
No,
so-
that's a real
so
problem. I have
you
friends.
support-
I have friends so big, so muscular, they can't sleep on their side anymore. It's a real thing, and it comes down to, okay, you have to sleep on your back now. What are you gaining? You have the strength. Have you learned in your spare time? Have you learned to fight? Have you learned to use the strength? Have you learned anything other than just getting bigger? At some point, you have to stop and say, I'm not saying this is good or bad, but the direction you're going is not, it's not progressive to you. And you're sacrificing. You can be really healthy and get too serious and start sacrificing your daily life, who you are, your character. You can get to a point where you can have the same type of damage as being overweight.
And
you could have somebody
let me give it-
350
all right,
pounds.
here's a better
you could have
example.
somebody who's just ridiculously jacked, and that person ends up having congestive heart failure because they just went too fucking hard all the time with too many supplements.
Here's
You know,
a
it's-
perfect example, and this relates to the fat private thing we're just talking about. You don't tell a recovering alcoholic to, crack a bottle of whiskey and have a drink. Same way as you don't tell your friend to chug a whole bottle of whiskey or something, and unless you're in college or something like that. It's like you're not going to influence your normal healthy friend to overexert or overdo.
college and under is the
something.
only place where
But like-
time of your life where
so
you're
it's
like,
like-
let's see what happens.
Yeah, you
After
don't-
that, you start caring
should,
about
should
that
you
person.
tell someone who's medically obese that it's fine to have that drink, just keep on drinking? Or it's like you're not going to tell a normal person like, oh dude, you should eat 400 calories every day
or
for the
or
next.
you're bulimic. It's fine if you throw up. It's fine to keep doing that.
Right, so it's like
I'm not going to talk to you about this.
frame it
We'll
that
go
way.
out to
It's
dinner.
like-
I'll pay. I know you're throwing it up, and I won't even talk about it. I'm going to
Yeah.
let you keep doing
Fat-
it. I know that the problem probably stems from somewhere else, but I'm not going to talk to you. I'm not going to get to know you. I'm not going to try to understand the problem.
Yeah.
Instead, I'm just going to know that you're going to throw this up, and I'm going to let you. And it's like, what a good friend.
So
What a great friend.
A good person, a good person. Oh yeah, they support fat pride. A good person also supports alcoholics drinking. In that logic,
Yeah, same logic.
which one's better?
When I drink, I feel happy. When I drink, I feel more myself.
When I eat,
When I
feel
drink, I feel
happy.
more confident. When I drink, I mean, it's all the same things, but
Yeah.
alcohol
I support.
affects the mind. So it's much easier to say that, like, when I drink, it helps depression. In my mind.
Right. It's
In
a
my
little bit
mind,
different,
from
but
my...
food can do the same
But
thing.
in my mind, from my experience, when I drink, it alters my state, and I feel okay with being me. Okay, well, you could be you and not keep eating. So, if anything, it's more logical to push somebody who hasn't drank in 10 days and be like, go ahead and take the drink, than it is to tell somebody, go ahead and order the extra side. You know, it's like, there are these things that people don't think about that are intricate. And when you break them down, it's like, what do you really stand for?
Yeah.
If you stand for somebody being overweight, it's fine. And by that, I mean, I have friends that are bigger, and I don't talk to them about the fact that they're bigger.
Right.
I have brought up, when they talk about wanting to lose weight, I have brought up drinks and things that help stimulate fat burn. To where it's like, I'm not going to tell you, change your lifestyle, change your habits, change this. I'm going to say, add this one thing. You'll keep eating the same way you do, but you'll lose weight. And I believe that when you, as you drink this, after about a month, you're going to start noticing a difference in how you feel. You're going to notice a difference in how you look. Maybe it might not be huge, but you'll notice it. And that will be the motivation for you to say, well, I don't want to be this. I like this path, and I'm going to stick to it. And that's when somebody turns their attention into being healthy. But if you sit there and just keep telling them, that same person could be like, I need to lose weight. But then I walk up and I say, you're fine the way you are, dude. Yeah. You're fine the way you are. How much am I helping them by telling them, keep being that way?
Exactly. And those people would be like, I did a good thing by supporting a friend today.
I'm sure deep down in his mind, but the reason he brought that up to me was because he was having doubts and second guesses on his life choices and wanted to make a change. But thank goodness I made sure that he stuck to what he was doing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, realistically, that's all it is.
You know, we make all these points, whether you're obese, whether you're an alcoholic, whether you're a transgender. It's not good to rely on some external source for your happiness or your body physical displeasure or dysmorphia. You know, it's like, think about the alcoholic. It's all the same stuff. It's all a vice. It's all supplementing real understanding and emotions and perception of the world for some type of scapegoat or release or some type of compensation. Because, you know, whether you're born in the same body or you're genetically prone to being obese, none of it's good, none of it's natural. And to for someone to say that that's right and that's what you should do, then they either don't know anything about, you know, just health and science and you know, the natural development of human beings for the last 100,000 years, or they are basically pretending to be good when they are neutral, if in fact maybe below neutral.
And that's why I would at some point like for us to do an episode where we've been like a month sober.
I know we drink on this podcast. This is
we do drink.
It could be construed. I don't want to take away from
we drink a lot on the podcast.
You know, just to acknowledge that, you know, this is
we have a problem.
Once a week, friends, we hang out, we drink beers, we talk about shit because it gets
once a week
mindset. But we don't have a problem. Just so we're not hypocritical. Continue.
But I do think it would be good, like proof of point to go like a month of nothing. Just to emphasize, like, there's choices.
I mean, I did in February.
It's one thing to, I mean, at least I think it'll help our arguments in the future. When somebody's like, you're saying this, well, go back to episode blah, blah. We stopped everything for a month.
Everyone has a vice, people.
Just for fun, for a month, we went full vegan, you know? Like, and didn't drink any alcohol, and we're totally pure and healthy, and our body's a temple. Like, something where we have the validity of like anybody can't do it. You just have to choose to do it. Like I know us well enough that it's like if we're gonna stop drinking, we could just stop in totality.
Yeah.
We could.
I mean, I think the key is moderation.
I mean, it is
and everything.
moderation and control, and because of moderation and control, it's like we can enjoy it.
Yeah.
But for the viewers, it's like it would be good to emphasize that, like, even with moderation and control, you can just stop. With anything, you can just stop.
Yeah.
You can always just stop.
And if you can't,
I mean, how many times do I hit this? I mean, on air. I mean,
Yeah.
that'll be a part of it. It'll be everything all at once in 1 month, just to emphasize it can be done.
Yeah.
I quit cigarettes cold turkey for 1.5 years, and decided to start smoking again. It was a bad decision, but it's like every time I go to quit, it gets easier with the understanding of how I quit the first time.
Yeah.
And the only times that are successful that I've ever quit is me understanding, oh, this is what I want, and then I do it.
Man, okay, so we're coming
want,
up on our
suckers.
time, and we've
what you
talked
want.
about kind of the external, the forces of good and evil when it comes to kind of external. But man, we even need to do a whole episode on the forces of good and evil internal, because that's the kind of shit that it's like what we were just talking about. It's like, yeah, we drink, we try to do moderation, we do the show, but it's
the
like
compromises,
it's like
the definitions.
yeah, like if you can't stop something for a month, like if you can't stop something indefinitely, and you're like, oh well, the reasons this and that, it's like, okay, that's the evil
addiction.
convincing
That's the
you that it's
control.
neutral.
That's the evil, yeah.
So it's like, so just for anyone out there, obviously we're all in this journey together. No one's fucking Jesus except for Jesus. So we're all sin. We all struggle with this stuff. So, the self-awareness is the key there, and that informs the moderation that, prevents you from going out of control. And I hope you guys don't think we're hypocrites.
Yeah, understanding the problem is the first step to breaking it down and getting control over the problem and making a difference. And that's what this podcast is about. I would love to do like a month of just sobriety, just to, in every way, no nicotine. I wouldn't even do coffee or nothing. Like a month of sobriety to show that I can operate just as I am.
Yeah.
Only just to prove that it's a decision. And if you can't make that decision, that is the sign.
Yeah.
That is the spot to stop and say, why can't I? Why do I drink? Do I drink to make myself feel better? What do I feel bad about? Let me break that down. Let me get over it. Let me deal with it. Okay, now I don't need alcohol, but I'd like to have a drink.
And
that's the moderation.
Yeah, and the opposite.
See how I found a way?
And the force of evil.
See how I found a justification?
See,
you can do it too.
That was the force of good in a person that wants to make a change in their life. The force of evil in the person that, is ignoring or neutral to the change in their life. They're going to be like, oh, well, you only really drink when you do the podcasts on Wednesdays. You only really do it on the weekends. It's like, well, you're not getting drunk enough to where you black out. So,
and it's always to your
blah, blah, blah.
thoughts. It's always to your own thoughts.
It's
do I drink too
justification.
much? It's only when you really only over
Think
drink
about
on these
AC/DC and
you
all
really
these
only do this then.
all the rock stars. They're still alive.
I mean, that's really what we're up at war against is our own thoughts.
Yeah.
When we sit there and we ask, do I have a problem? If your thoughts come back justifying, you have a problem. I mean, it's that simple.
Yeah.
Like, if I sit there and I go, do I drink too much? My brain goes,
Not compared to other people.
my brain goes, you can cut back. And I'm like, yeah, I could. I already knew the answer.
I already knew the answer.
Don't know why I asked. I already know the truth. Like, I could come back. I could be fine. It wouldn't be an issue. It wouldn't change my life. Like, if anything, it would just enhance my life.
Well, anyway, guys, let us know what you
Cheers.
think about the forces of good and evil. If we covered what you want tonight, let us know if we missed anything in the comments.
Please.
And join us every Wednesday night, about 9 Central. And let us know what you think, because we got the chat pulled up here. We can respond, and you guys can help influence the show.
And even after the show, you know, we will be looking at this. We want you guys to add as much as you can, honestly. If you disagree with the podcast, tell us why. If you think we missed major points, please give us the links to whatever led you to believe that. Because I, personally, want to know how we can make this better.
And show us some love, too, because we're trying to grow the channel. We love your support. And,
yeah, I mean, Meta Perspective Podcast is not meta
without your perspective.
Until then, Meta Perspective out.
Meta Perspective Podcast.